So excited about that. All right, now I'm going to surprise some of y'all. I bet a lot of y'all just think because I'm conservative that I'm ultra right wing and I just agree with anything religious, free speech oriented, etc. Oh, I bet when some of y'all saw this Supreme Court to hear Mississippi Street Preacher's case, and y'all thought to yourselves, well, Clay Edwards just agrees with those rude street preachers. Contraire mou frere. I have been very outspoken against these guys for as long as I've had a platform to be outspoken against these guys, and probably not for why you think. Unless you read my Facebook post before watching this video. All right, man, I'm feeling better than I thought I would. I hadn't run out of breath. Well, we'll just play the video. It's like 2 minutes long. We'll play the video, and then I'll give you all my opinions on it. This is about the Mississippi street preachers that got arrested out here in Brandon at the amphitheater for harassing people.
Evangelist Gabriel Olivier is now hoping that the Supreme Court will allow him to move ahead with his religious speech lawsuit after he was banned from preaching outside an amphitheater.
Just outside this amphitheater in Brandon, Mississippi, Gabriel Olivier used to preach on the street.
And so on nights of events, he can catch a substantial number of people with whom he can share his message.
But not anymore. Now Olivier is barred from evangelizing next to it after the city passed an ordinance that says he can only protest in a certain area, away from the amphitheater.
He wasn't happy about that, so when he was sent over there, he came back, and he was actually arrested and charged with violating this ordinance and pled no contest and had a suspended 10-day sentence, so did not actually serve any time in jail.
The city said the ordinance was passed after Olivier and his group were shouting insults at concertgoers, holding signs that showed aborted fetuses, and taking police away from traffic posts to break up fights. So Olivier filed a lawsuit saying the city's rule violated his religious and free speech rights. But the lower court said he couldn't challenge the law because of a Supreme Court precedent he sued under, known as Section 1983.
It's sort of a catch-all statute that allows you to sue the government or government officials when they violate your constitutional rights. But the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals held that he was prevented from using that statute, that he cannot use Section 1983 to challenge this ordinance because he has already been convicted under it.
Now Olivier is asking the nation's highest court to clear up their decision in a previous case and decide whether lawsuits like his can move forward.
I think what the U.S. Supreme Court did in taking this case is really recognizing that this could be an issue far broader than Mr. Olivier, that you can have a lot of other individuals where this type of application could prevent them from being able to exercise their constitutional rights.
In Washington, I'm Stetson Miller.
All right, so let me clear the screen. Get y'all's comments back up. So bullshit. First and foremost, bullshit. Damn it. All right, sorry that y'all couldn't hear it, but it was blaring in my damn ear. That same commercial again. They're not street preaching. They're hate speeching, and I hate that term, hate speech, because who defines what's hate speech? I think the Supreme Court years ago tried to define what pornography was. And they said, while we can't give you an exact definition of what pornography is, you know it when you see it. And that's how I feel about hate speech, like true hate speech. Or the term I prefer to use is fighting words. Y'all know what fighting words are. Like there's a line of demarcation. And Junk Picayune, my brother from another mother, that's the biggest super chat I've ever gotten. Thank you so much. We're going to leave that up on the screen while I ran here. Let that be an encouragement for the rest of y'all. I'd be much appreciated. The tip jar is open. Y'all know what fighting words are. And if somebody walks up and says something about your mother, then fighting words. Somebody calls you a bitch as a man, then fighting words. All of ours are different, but I'm sure we got a bunch that are the same. And these guys were shouting fighting words at women, at men, but especially at women, calling them, they some lame ass term, calling them Jezebels, drunkards. Where's it at right here? Well, I had it in the WAPT article. I got the WLBT article pulled up because I like the way their website format's better. But let me see real quick on the WAPT one. But it doesn't matter, honestly. They've been doing this for years. Now, is it the same exact people? I don't know. It's that Church in the Wilderness out of Jackson. They're one of the ones that do it. But going all the way back to my Club 105 days, and I see a shout out in the comments here from Johnny saying, what up, Capital 105? What up, brother? Going back to the Club 105 days, those guys would come and set up on the corner of my club and with a literal milk crate, a soapbox. And they would just, they would have their script and they would shout whatever was on their script. And I would calmly, believe it or not, just try to be like, hey, guy, you mind on stepping down? Let's have a conversation. Talk to me. You're going to repent. You're going to hell. You're a drunkard. You're a Jezebel. It's the same rinse, wash, repeat bullshit. That's not bringing anybody closer to Christ. It's pushing people further away. And I've seen it so many times. So and then you've seen them out in Fondren. Now, I didn't disagree with them protesting at the abortion clinic because some of our beliefs are aligned. And it's a complicated relationship, right? But I don't have to agree with everything you say. Just like I don't ask anybody that is a supporter of mine to agree with everything I say. I tell you that if you tell me you agree with me 100%, you're probably lying. And that's okay. But we can disagree and still be friends. Like 51% is like my number. I can agree with you just more than half the time. We cool. And these guys will go out to Fondren and stuff and shout at people that are on the patios eating with their families. Like, does a child deserve to hear that? I don't think so. As a matter of fact, I know not. Not just sitting on a patio eating with their families. Now, if you're trying to drag your child into a drag queen story time or a all-age all-age drag show, shout away. Go use your free speech for that. And I guess that's me being a hypocrite, picking and choosing where I think it's okay, and I'll accept that. But I think most of us can agree that a child doesn't need to be going in and seeing anything sexual. Not a LGBTQ show, not a regular strip club. I don't want to see a 10-year-old child being taken into Danny's no more than I want to see them taken into a gay bar. We don't need to be exposing children to anything sexualized, period. And if you think that that's a good idea on any level, you need to be put on a list, a watch list. But my point being, what I'm working towards here, these guys are trying to push people to punch them in the face so they can file charges, sue, and then play the victim. They have a history of it. Now, again, I don't know. I'm not speaking on this exact fella, but I do know what he was doing out here in the amphitheater because I've seen it with my own eyes. He's harassing people. And one of the people in his group, because I don't know that there were that many different groups doing this, started attacking this little lesbian girl, a little stud. I mean, she was definitely a lesbian. I mean, there wasn't no doubt about it. But that didn't matter. They just saw her and started telling she was going to hell. And she was a lesbian, gay, and all that Westboro Baptist Church kind of bullshit. And that's not... I try my best not to talk about faith and quote Bible scripture and all that. That's not my lane. I'm a Christian, but I understand that I blur the lines. So I try not to be that hypocrite. My relationship with God is my personal relationship with God. But in no version of that, do I think you pick random people walking down the street and start cussing them out and telling them they're going to hell without even knowing anything about them. You just look at them and say, gay, you're going to hell. Well, maybe she's not. I mean, she looks it. I mean, stereotypes exist for a reason. I'll give you that. But again, fighting words. You remove the religious side of fighting words. Some things you just don't do. It's like these these First Amendment auditors. They don't care about the First Amendment. They're out here trying to get a rise out of people, trying to get clicks and views on the internet. You know, trying to get attacked and annoy somebody so bad that they push them into attacking them. It happened down at the Capitol, at the governor's mansion recently. One of these chumps went down there and pushed a highway patrol trooper to the point of attacking him. Now, he didn't actually punch him or anything, but he's like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? When the guy showed him what he was going to do, oh my God, you attacked me. Well, don't ask a grown-ass man what he's going to do. And then throw a fit when he shows you. I mean, not to be that guy, but F around, find out. Justin, thank you. I am definitely doing better. Just exhaustion, man. I went to the doctor. I tested negative for everything, but just couldn't talk for more than about 10 words without losing my breath. And I do a lot of cardio. I work out every day. I ain't worked out since Wednesday. No, since Thursday now, because I've been dealing with stuff. But anyway, Johnny says, "Oh, Hebrew Israelites." Very similar. Very similar. I was trying to pull the story up there on WABT. Here it is right here. I want to just get to the bottom here and just kind of quote. Here's what they were yelling. It says, the city of Brandon says the restrictions aren't about religious speech, but rather about limiting disturbances caused while Olivier and his group yelled insults like Jezebel, nasty, and drunkards at people passing by. Now, does that sound like the word of God to y'all? Yeah, man, I just go back to fighting words. Those are fighting words. And I think Brandon did the right thing because they said they're supposed to be coordinating traffic, but they're having to break up fights that these people are starting. They're using fighting words to get punched so they can sue. This has nothing to do with recruiting people to church. And I had a conversation with one of my buddies at the radio station who is a big supporter of these guys and was sharing stuff on Facebook about, man, I'm praying for you guys. And I sent him a message. I said, hey, bro, me and you were on different sides on this one. And I asked him to come on my show and let's talk about it tomorrow, but he had something going on. And that's fine. I'm not trying to call him out. But I was like, I just wanted to educate him on what's going on. I was like, these guys have been terrorizing people for a while. And I just think there's a fine line in freedom of speech, and you have your freedom of speech. You do not have your freedom of consequences. You know, I can't take my gun in the Brandon Amphitheater. My First Amendment, my Second Amendment is stomped on there. I don't like it, but I understand that, you know what? There's a lot of cops here. Nobody else can have their gun except the cops, and there's a lot of them here. I just have to trust that I'm safe when I'm there. And, you know, I don't like it. And I'm not one of these people who trades safety for, what is it? If you trade freedom for safety, you deserve neither. You know, I'm not doing that, but I'm just kind of asking Jesus to take the wheel for 4 hours while I'm at a concert and hope that nothing happens. But it doesn't mean that I'm going to forfeit. I'm not going to be so scared that I don't go. Maybe that's a better way to put it. Same thing with First Amendment there. I just understand, like, okay, yes, I have my First Amendment, but I also understand that there's a line where my First Amendment, it doesn't allow me to cuss you out without consequences. I hope y'all are hearing what I'm saying here. Hope we're on the same page. Yeah, Roger, you make a great point. It says, that's what the moron in Pearl is doing. I don't want to say his name to give him any kind of fame. Yeah, look, the Foot Locker idiots, they're doing the same thing. They're pushing people to try to assault them so they can sue. I mean, I think I'm worried about them guys. One of those guys has allegedly has a heart attack every time the police touch him. He filed charges on a little old lady for swatting him with a piece of paper, telling him to stand up during the national anthem when they were at a city hall meeting. Punch an old man in the chest, a senior citizen in the chest, press charges on an old lady for swatting you with paper. You have a medical emergency every time the police touch you. Brother, I'm like a diamond. I shine under pressure. I don't have heart attacks. Definitely not worried about him. Clowns, man. But that's what they do. They just try to push people. It's like, caught me slipping. Okay, what do you want to do? You just want to film? Just want to talk on the internet? Call me a bitch? Call me a racist? And then the thing that I heard the most about the people that agreed with him after all that video was, he tried to shake your hand. That motherfucker don't get to determine the rules of engagement after he called me all these things and spoke to me like that. Hollered all them fighting words at me. He's just lucky I didn't want to go to jail. I didn't want to get sued. I knew what he was doing. I'm not an idiot. I may come across like one sometimes, but I know the hustle. I know clowns like that. Like Roger just said in the comments there, looking for a quick payout. Do it in a gas station that's got insurance, got liability insurance. Somebody gets attacked in there. They've probably got a minimum $1 million general liability. I know I did when I had my place to cover stuff just like that. Because the insurance just settles to not have to go to court. Here's $100,000. Just, we don't want to go to court. Of course, in Rankin County, they'll sometimes just go to court because these juries out here aren't like the ones in Hinds County. Hinds County, they just settle. That's what they're trying to do. If they tell you anything more, they're lying.